Good morning. It's Sunday, and we are out in the field cleaning up what the rake left behind. So this is kind of the same process as what we were doing yesterday with the bale that didn't bale, but we have to come out here with a pitchfork and all these places where there's just these thick mats of alfalfa on the ground. We have to rake those up and then pick them up and put them in the wheel track so that the little alfalfa underneath can grow. The problem with this is right now is that it's windy, so I don't know if you can see. It's starting to blow some of the pieces around, not enough to get them up off the ground, but if it were a bigger wind or going in a different direction, then it could, which is one of the reasons why you don't want to rake when it's really windy, because it'll just blow your windrow away. So I feel kind of bad. Oh, and we have the pivot back on, which it's moving towards me. So we're also trying to race the pivot so that we can get this done before the water gets here. And then once we get a good bunch, we put it in the wheel track. And I just feel bad because if there's any pigs or cows watching this, or horses, I'm sorry, all that food that you could have eaten is now sitting here in my wheel track, not doing anybody any good. And sorry, I know the wind makes this audio really hard to hear. I didn't realize it was so bad. Basically, what I was explaining here is that alfalfa is autotoxic. So it puts chemicals or something into the ground to prevent any new alfalfa from growing. So people might think, well, if we just leave the alfalfa on the ground, it'll just regrow itself, but it doesn't because it's autotoxic. So why in the world in nature would you want to not be able to regrow yourself? It's not something that I understand, but it's just the way it is. This is why we had to plant wheat last year, because we had to kill out all the alfalfa and give it a year to get rid of all of the autotoxic chemicals and things that it had put in the ground so that we could plant it back for this year. Yeah, so we're fighting wind, we're fighting pivot, and a rake that just didn't rake very well. So some of this is me missing when I was driving the rake, so not lining up either the right or the left side of the rake. But some of this is our rake not working the way that it's supposed to. So really, we are thinking that we might need to invest in a new rake. So we are starting the process of looking around and seeing what's available and what we can afford. So we might be adding a new rake to our family soon. And I was commenting how I've heard that when you have a farm or ranch or do those kinds of work, you don't need to have a gym membership. And I completely understand after all of this that it was quite a workout for your arms, your back, your cardio. So yeah, we had plenty of work here, just doing daily things. And then I was showing how much of this wheel track is already filled in. There's still piles out in the field. And this was just one of the wheel tracks. There are 4 more tracks on this pivot that were pretty much exactly the same and needed to be gone over the same way. And we have 70 acres that are irrigated. So that's a lot of area to have to walk around and pick up hay by hand with a pitchfork and then pick it up and move it into the wheel track. So we were thinking that maybe we just needed to figure out a different option. I just wish it was putting dollars and pennies in our pocket and food in animal bellies, not filling up wheel tracks. Oh, keep your fingers crossed for us that we find a rake. Okay, so after doing that for a while, we've decided that we're going to try something a little bit different. We're going to take the tractor and hook up the drag harrow to it and see if that will kind of break it up, spread it out, move it around a little bit better and faster than just the two of us walking around with pitchforks for the rest of our lives. So we're hoping this falls into the category of work smarter, not harder, but we'll let you know. Apparently I couldn't help. So Sam hooked up a chain around the drag harrow, and now he's lifting it. Yeah. And I'm going to hold it and keep it from swinging. Kind of. Go up a little. Can they be changed later? How hard is it to change it? Oh, well then yeah, let's totally start with this.
It seems like taking that thing off.
The wood?
Yeah. So if you're actually trying to lever at something, it would be good if it would.
Yeah.
Smear.
Yeah, just lightly tickle the ground. Tickle. So I can't remember if it was the day that we bought it or sometime close to when we bought the tractor. We were driving it home from somewhere, I don't remember. Anyway, it was on the trailer and the door broke. So we have a replacement door, we just have never put it on the tractor, which is kind of handy because then I can sit here and hold on outside and not have to worry about bumping into things or falling out. It also makes it a little more ventilated. So, it's doing better. So we changed the angle of the teeth to see if it helped get it down and break it up a little bit better because there were still some clumps being left behind. And I think that's doing a much better job. There's still just a tiny thing there, but it's way better than it was. Let's just go to this section over here. So it didn't break it up completely, especially in the areas where it was really thick, like where a bale had broken apart or at the end of the rows where there was just a lot more hay matted up. But for the most part, it did a really good job of breaking up a lot of the looser stuff. And if we went over some of the areas a couple of times, it broke it up really well. I feel like except for the super, super thick stuff, it's doing better. Do we increase the angle even more? chunk. Oh, so would it hurt anything to go across this way instead of...
Yeah, it helped a bunch up there.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's helping for the most part. So it's Monday, and we spent the afternoon yesterday driving the tractor around the small pivot with the drag harrow on it. We ended up putting that piece of wood back on it just to give it a little bit more pressure to try to dig through some of the thicker clumps of hay. And then this morning, I did this half of the big pivot. I did the top of the big pivot yesterday, but we couldn't get to the other side because of where the pivot was across the road. So Sam went out with a pitchfork and did a couple of the wheel tracks. So we've gotten most of it all picked up now. It's just, yeah, it was quite the ordeal. Not something we want to have to do every cutting. So I hit a bump yesterday and bounced pretty good, and it made the seat do whatever it does when this happens. So it's not unusable, it's just kind of uncomfortable because it's always trying to kind of push forward, but I just need Sam to show me how to fix it because it's going to happen a lot. So Sam had to take my hay house down because the bales that were on the top, being the roof, because they were bridging a gap, would have ended up sagging eventually and kind of ruining the bale. So it was awesome, and it was super fun while it lasted, and I will miss my tiny little hay house. Thanks for watching.